Hello everybody and welcome back to Kerbal Space Program, where last episode we took off from Gilly and we need to head back to Kerbin with all of our fancy science, and we are definitely going to be doing that. So I scoped this out a little bit of a path here for return. This is almost certainly not optimal. Our timing isn't great here, but that's fine. I'm not too concerned about that. So this is essentially a 3-burn return, and we would fine-tune this a little bit. This is 90 kilometers. We'd want to bring that down to aerobrake slightly, or potentially leave it at 90 kilometers and fix it with a radial retrograde burn of some variety over here. So that would be like a 4-burn return. What we have here is roughly 1,700 meters per second. So our first initial burn here is exactly 500. And then this burn is 442.1. That's our inclination change. And then our interception burn is up here, 886.3. And we'd almost certainly make some slight modifications to this, but this is the overall plan for return. It's not going to be super time efficient, but we've got plenty of fuel to make it happen. So we'll go ahead and get rid of these, and we'll recreate those nodes as we get into position for them. And we're just going to rotate here over to the maneuver node, and we're going to warp. Okay, the maneuver node changed extraordinarily dramatically there. Sure. As you can see here, we have a really wobbly sort of orbit, and I think that's why it's changing so much. But this orbit is very... Oh, we're focused on Kerbin. Yeah. This orbit is very awkward, but our timing here is somewhat vaguely important. Actually, it's probably not all that important, now that I think about it. It's probably fine. But we're just going to position over this direction. This is, of course, going to be a pure prograde burn. And we're going to prepare for that burn. I'm just going to physics warp forward as we get set up here. Cool. And our burn is going to be in about 20 seconds. So let's go ahead and time warp ever so slightly forward. Okay, and let's commence burn in 3, 2, 1, 0. And we're out of here. So as you can see, this will be a fairly lengthy burn. I'm going to physics warp the burn. It's a very basic prograde burn, so we're not too concerned about that. And we're basically heading towards Eve right now. We'll see if we grab any additional gravity scans on the way out of Eve. We should probably no longer be focused here, but instead be focusing on Eve. There we go. Cool. Looks like we have... Okay. Okay. Should not be doing that while physics warping. Sure. That's fine. So we don't need to hit this super bang on. Ooh. It is not wanting to turn there. Well, we'll just shut down. And this is probably good enough. So all we need to do here is... Well, yeah, we've got what we need. Okay, beautiful. So we're going to be at the ascending node next, right? 107 days. Yeah, that's going to take a little while, but let's go ahead and set up our maneuver there. And we're going to need to burn anti-normal at the ascending node. Cool. About like that. That'll do the trick. So that's about what we had anticipated. So why were we unable to turn left there? That was weird, right? That was really weird. At any rate, we'll call it good. Okay, so we're going to position here. This is, of course, an anti-normal, so I believe we're going to have to position something like that. But what we should do here is we should simply warp to our escape of Gilly. So warp to, like, here. That's only 13 minutes away. Goodbye, Gilly. We will not be coming back there anytime soon. We will go back there eventually, I'm sure. Okay, so we're in space high over Eve's Midlands right now. This is, of course, going to be for our relative to the sun node, right? Our relative to the sun anti-normal node. So relative to Eve here, it's not going to be quite correct. So at this point, we need to warp up to here. We're going to escape Eve in 11 days. So let's go ahead and enable stopping time warp, because we may have more gravity scans. And let's just make our way through here. Okay, so that's Highlands. Peaks. We've already got that. Highlands. Still just Highlands. We're hoping to run into an extra gravity scan or two, and we might be able to get some above Kerbal as well. Okay, that's Midlands. No concerns there. And that's Lowlands. Sure. That's Shallows. Nothing to be done there. Eastern Sea, we've got it. Ooh, hang on. That was 10,000 X time warp, which is faster than I want to go over this. We need to be able to respond to this somewhat quickly. So we're currently over the Eastern Sea. That's Midlands. And we'll continue warping forward at 1,000 X. Cool. Midlands. Lowlands. Midlands. Lowlands. Shallows. It's starting to look like we've got everything that we're going to get, but I want to make sure of that. Okay, ejecta. Got one. Beautiful. Okay, so we will go ahead and collect that data. And we will continue to warp forward. So that's great. Anything else? Well, we are currently decelerating here, so we're currently, like, still 5 days away. That's Shallows, so that's Lowlands, and we're going to continue Shallows. We're going to continue to warp here. Midlands. Highlands. Peaks. Foothills. We've got Foothills, but that is a new one for this session. Peaks, Foothills, and more Peaks. Highlands. Midlands. Okay. Lowlands. Midlands. Are we going to get anything else? Probably not, is my guess. I'm just going to start an auto warp to here, but it will still be delayed, so we'll keep an eye on this. Okay. So far, I've not seen any gravity scans that we missed. Absolutely none thus far. We're just warping our way on in. Oh, that was one. That was Midlands. Okay. I didn't get it. It doesn't matter that much. We've probably got plenty of science here, but I would have liked to have gotten that. Sad. Well, it's not too relevant. Okay. So it looks like we're probably not going to get anything else. I'm going to stop warping, and of course, the moment I stop warping, it pops up again, but it's fine. We're going to be escaping here in about 4 hours. So we'll warp on forward, and let's see what we've got. There are still a couple of gravity scan locations here, but we're probably not going to get too much. That's the Explodium Sea, Shallows, Lowlands, Highlands. Yeah, back into Peaks. Okay. Well, we are almost to our escape point here. We're about an hour away. Let's go ahead and stop that warp interruption. And let's just warp on forward here and escape. Oh, we're still... Let's not interrupt warp. There we go. So our escape is right now. So we are now over the sun, and we can just position for this burn and begin to warp. Obviously, this is going to be a bit of a warp, but really 100 days isn't all that bad. Some of the other warps in this are going to be interesting, but we'll see. We'll see if we decide to pause the recording or not. So at this point, of course, we are over the sun, so I would like to set that as our focus, but that's not really a possibility, so we'll set Kerbal as our focus here. And our inclination change is now going to be in about 50 seconds. Cool. So this is going to burn off about a quarter of what we have remaining in our external tanks. I like it. We've got plenty of Delta V for this. No concerns there. We can rotate here so that our solar panels are better facing the sun. Not that I think it's too relevant. Kind of overshot that a bit. Cool. And let's warp on forward here and get this inclination change done in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, mark. Counted a little fast there, but it's all good. Okay, we can definitely physics warp this burn. It's going to be a little bit of a lengthy one at 1.5 minutes. So let's go ahead and get that done as quickly as we can. Cool. So we can see that we are drifting a little bit off of our node here. Not that that's all that relevant. That's probably just due to the physics warp. But there we go. We'll just burn here for another 10-ish seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and this is probably good enough. Indeed it is. Okay, now we look for an intercept with Kerbal, which if I recall correctly, that was going to be about here-ish? Ish. This is exact opposite. Okay, so we're a little different from what I had mapped out, but that's... Okay, this is +1 orbit. That makes sense, actually. +1 orbit makes sense. So we're going to need a little bit more prograde here. And I want to change our timing so that our intercept is basically at the apoapsis here. So about there. How's that looking? Okay, we can tune this in a little bit. Looks good. So a little bit more prograde. We could also flatten out our trajectory a little bit if we really wanted to. I don't think that's hugely necessary. But we could do it. Ooh, that's way more than I wanted. Let's bring that up like so. Okay. So that's exciting stuff right there. But something about there should do. Ooh, that's an impact trajectory. We don't necessarily want to impact. We're going to bring this fairly low, no doubt about that. I'd like to have a little bit of aerobraking assistance. We're going to bring this down to, for the moment, actually, we're going to take this all the way down to 30 kilometers. We will alter this with later burns. That's for sure. Okay, there's 30 kilometers, and realistically, what happens... I don't actually care about the alarm clock here. Get out of here. Right, we got a lot of surface deployed observations. Cool. That will happen. We should definitely think about... I mean, the inclination change isn't necessary here, right? It's definitely not. So if we pull that back, this is our current periapsis. Would it cost us more? Actually... Hang on. So that's 850 there. We're going to need to push it back out. It looks like the inclination change is actually necessary to getting us a decent encounter here. That's 12 kilometers. I feel like that's cheaper than what we had. It definitely is. So let's just bring this out to about 30 kilometers, and we'll call this good. I mean, we've got plenty of delta V for this, right? We're going to definitely do a re-entry burn. There's no doubt about that, but aero capture should work here. That's 25 kilometers, which is maybe a little on the low side. Realistically, with the amount of velocity we'll be coming in at, I would usually target about 40 kilometers for this rather than 30, but with the amount of delta V that we have left over here, it should be fine. We'll do a radial retrograde burn on the way in. So, we will position for that burn. That's going to be a slightly awkward burn. Once again, we're having a real hard time heading over this direction, which is interesting to me. But we're making it now. But yeah, our yaw authority seems to be a lot lower than our pitch authority. Very strange. Regardless, we're going to align for this, and we are going to begin our warp. Now, this is a lengthy warp. So I'm going to pause the recording here, and we'll be right back towards the end of this warp. Okay, we are back. The warp is over. We are about 1 minute away from our burn here, and we're just going to warp on forward a little bit closer. About 20 seconds to the burn. 10 seconds. Okay. I'm going to roll us here to better align our solar panels. Cool. And we'll commence our burn now. Fantastic. Again, this is going to be a somewhat lengthy burn. Interesting. I'm just noting that the gimbal doesn't move when I hit the left button. That might have something to do with it. I might have accidentally hit a control at some point that I did not intend to. Regardless, it seems to be perfectly maneuverable enough, so it'll be fine. We're going to continue this burn. This is, of course, our home return burn. And let's physics warp this. It's going to be about a 2-minute burn, so we may as well cut that down to 30 seconds if we can. Cool. So we've got about 1:30 left on it. I see that we're slightly off, so I'm going to adjust our heading here. Yeah, I don't know. I might have messed up something with the gimbaling, but it's hard to say. So we're going to completely finish off this burn. We are having a little bit of oscillation here, but it's not the biggest of deals. We're going to alter this burn eventually anyway, right? So it'll be fine. We're going to alter our final trajectory with our, not exactly a re-entry burn. Yeah, that feels so much more responsive off to the one side. I'm wondering. Well, first off, let's go into our maneuver mode here. And yep. So you can see here, the yaw only goes to here. That's weird. Did I trim it or something? Hang on. I don't know. I might have. At any rate, let's finish off this burn and see what we've got on Kerbal. Yeah, we're definitely going to need to bring this in a bit. Cool. Like I said, it's maneuverable enough. I probably messed something up in the controls at some point. Okay. About 2 meters per second to go here. It's like we've got a little bit of awkwardness going on here, but it should, in theory, be fine. Cool. That'll do. Which side are we coming in on? 166 and 166.43. Okay, we're coming in on this side. So we know that we're going to want to do our radial retrograde burn probably sometime around here, right? So we're going to want to burn retrograde. That's not what we want. We want to burn retrograde. I was grabbing a normal burn there. No, I don't want an alarm here. Get rid of the alarms. Get out of here. Fantastic. Okay, I just want to modify this maneuver. There we go. Retrograde burn. And then radial to pull our periapsis back out. So that captures us without any arrow braking. Oh, that was not what I wanted. I'm going to change the angle here so that I can see a little bit better. There we go. Cool. And we'll just modify this to be, you know, something kind of like this. And we can certainly bring this in closer, I think. Yeah, somewhere more like here would be better. We were pretty high up previously, but I think this will do the trick nicely. So we bring this on down, and we radial it back out. And we bring it on down, and radial it back out. At this point, we are basically burning at the apoapsis, and we've still got a little bit of extra fuel here. So we're still going to have enough to do a re-entry burn, potentially. I would like to continue to bring this down a little bit more, though. This is going back up now, isn't it? That's completely pointless. So we're going to do something more along the lines of this. Okay. That should do nicely. So we'll have a little bit left for a re-entry burn, potentially, but we're not going to need it. So we'll probably just jettison our remaining fuel. How much are we going to have left there? Like 1 to 200 meters per second. I think we'll just jettison it and use our heat shield from there. That'll be absolutely fine. So we're going to need to start this burn in 166 days. We should definitely commence warpage here. Okay, we need to go left, which is the awkward direction. I'm pretty sure I got a trim mess up there or something. But let's go ahead and warp. Fantastic. Okay. So we're heading on in here. I'm not going to bother pausing this one. It's only 166 days. It's not quite as bad. And we'll need to react potentially fairly quickly once we get in here. So that'll be okay. Where exactly is Kerbin right now? Do we see it yet? It should be, like, away from the sun to us, I think. Yes. We should see it by now. But we're on a weird inclination, so I'm not sure what direction it is. We're definitely in Kerbin's sphere of influence now. Okay. Hi, Kerbin. You snuck up on me. Fantastic. Okay, so we're just going to park about here. Our radial retrograde burn will be important. Of course, we're going to be going very, very quickly once we hit the periapsis here. But the periapsis is currently deep in the atmosphere. So that will bleed a lot of speed. But we've got plenty of delta V. We may as well burn it here. Now, where is our re-entry actually going to be according to this? It's actually going to be, like, near the Terminator. I think we'll have light for it. So that's good. We're going to start our radial retrograde burn here in about 30 seconds. Let's go ahead and warp forward. 3, 2, 1, and mark. Cool. So this is going to be a pretty lengthy burn here. No doubt about that. But we do have a staging event here, so I'm not going to bother warping forward for now. This is going to be 30 seconds until our staging event. Cool. Our apoapsis height is... Oh, this is in kilometers. I was like, hang on a moment. That doesn't seem right, but it's in kilometers. Sure. I was slightly bamboozled by units there. It's all good. Okay, so we're going to be ditching our side tanks very shortly in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Side tanks are going to go away now. Beautiful. Off they go. They'll burn up in the atmosphere, presumably. And now we've got about 1:20 seconds on this re-entry burn. So, are we likely to hit the atmosphere before this ends? Well, we should certainly retract our photovoltaic panels. I think that's very clear. I don't think we have an alternator on this thing. That's correct. What have we got for electric charge? Plenty. So that's looking good. And I'm just altering our heading very slightly here. Cool. We can see our orbital velocity dropping dramatically. And we're still about 30 kilometers from re-entry. So that's absolutely great. We're bringing this on in. And we're getting a lot of slowdown here. I like it. We've got about 55 seconds left to burn in total here. But we are going to be ditching this stage fairly soon here. And we definitely want our drogue chutes split off. That's something I should have done in the VAB. Let's move our drogue chutes here. Beautiful. Okay, altering our heading a little bit. There we go. We've got about 200 meters per second left to burn off here. So yeah, like I said, we'll have about 100 to 200 meters per second left. Somewhere in that vicinity. So that looks good. Absolutely fine. Cool. We'll call that good, and let's just hit surface retrograde. Beautiful. So with 200 meters per second left, when are we going to ditch this, is the question. Well, we're not going to be re-entering for a little bit. Do we want to burn that off on re-entry? Honestly, I think aerobraking will be absolutely fine here. I don't think we'll have any problem. So I think we just ditch it now, before it's going to, like, potentially come back and impact us. So let's go ahead and do so. We're losing 200 meters per second, but that's okay. Off we go. Cool. At this point, we should just go ahead and warp forward until we hit the atmosphere. And there we go. We're now in atmosphere. I suppose we can open up our service module here and grab an atmospheric analysis. Close our service module. Collect that. We could grab a second atmospheric analysis here, actually. May as well. It's like 3 more science. Sure. And we'll close that again. Beautiful. So we can see here, our apoapsis isn't yet within the atmosphere. Technically, we probably should have burned a little bit on re-entry here, like burning slightly radial and circularizing this or something. I don't know. Or just save it until we hit the periapsis, but I don't think we're going to get to the periapsis, to be honest. We're going slow enough, and it'll be fine. Let's go ahead and physics warp forward here, and we're bringing these guys back. Apparently, we don't have this atmosphere analysis. That would make sense. Let's review this data, reset that, and run the atmospheric analysis from here. There we go. We'll collect all. And I guess we can continue grabbing atmospheric analyses until we start getting, like, some heating issues. Cool. Getting that last little bit of science. I like it. So we're over the grasslands right now. As long as we've got this open, I don't feel comfortable with physics warping, so we're not going to do that just yet. Our apoapsis height is still above the atmosphere, but we did just enter into flight mode. Cool. I mean, we're still quite high up here, and we're starting to decelerate already, which is wacky. Yeah, we can see here our time to periapsis is increasing. We were never going to reach the periapsis. So technically, yes, circularizing it and then going in probably would have been the way to go. But with only 200 meters per second left, it's whatever. And technically, we didn't need to do that big radial retrograde burn. That was just done because we had extra fuel. Cool. So we're now seeing atmospheric effects. I'm going to close our service bay here. There we go. And let's just go ahead and physics warp for a bit. We're going to be firing these drogue chutes fairly soon, once we've decelerated enough. It's currently unsafe to deploy them, of course, because we're going way too fast. But we're still 45 kilometers up, right? So that's not too shocking. Okay. Big ol' fireball going on here, so we'll take it out of physics warp. This heat gauge here is exciting. I'd really rather not lose this container module. We should maybe be in orbit mode? No. Surface mode. Definitely surface mode. Okay. Just wanted to see if the different retrogrades, they're slightly different, if that would get us some better results here. This is quite the fireball, no doubt about that. We are continuing to decelerate here. 2.1 kilometers per second. Okay, we are just about to drop under 2 kilometers per second. Beautiful. I'm wondering if this is actually the magnetometer. Yeah, this is the magnetometer. It's okay if that burns off. I'm not concerned about the magnetometer. We don't have any data stored there anyway, so it should be good. We're now down to 1,700 meters per second and decelerating fast. So this is all good. 1,600 meters per second. 1,500. Looks good. 1,300? Okay. I'm definitely seeing that we are not holding on the retrograde node, which is interesting, but it's not all that relevant. We're currently moving at 900 meters per second. 800. Drogue chutes are deployable. And mains will be deployable shortly. SAS can go off at this point. We don't care about it. Mains are now deployable. And we're physics warping. Actually, no, we're not. Because we are going to open up our service bay and grab another atmospheric analysis. We'll collect that. And we'll close our service bay. Cool. And down we go. I don't expect, given our vertical speed here, that we're going to get any other data. This should be good. So down we go. We'll see the drogues deploying in a moment here, about now. There we go. Down to 30 meters per second. And the main's deploying now. Cool. 5 meters per second. I like it. Absolutely great. Bill is just spazzing out over here. He is very happy to be home. And looks like we're going to be landing in a bit of a clearing here. Neat. I like it. So we're about 400 meters up right now, falling at 5.5 meters per second. 300 meters up. 200 meters up. 100 meters up. Okay, we'll come out of physics warp. Actually, I was going to grab another atmospheric analysis here, but that was just our heat shield, I think. Okay, cool. We are instead going to grab the gravity scan here. It's not worth much, but the atmospheric analysis here will be better. Cool. We can have Bob EVA grab a surface sample. Looks like dirt. And we'll collect everything we can. Apparently, we cannot run a seismic scan here. I'm wondering if that's because our seismometer already has a reading on it. Maybe. It's very hard to see through the grass to find the actual seismometer. That's the barometer there. It doesn't really matter. It's only 6 science. I'm not too concerned about it. We're going to grab another gravity scan and another atmospheric analysis, and then we'll recover our vessel and see just how much science we got. I think it's a lot. What do we got here? I'm expecting at least 1,000 science. Like, that's bare minimum. But it's going to be way more than that, I think. There's also a lot of science that we got from our deployable science. So we should be sitting at a ridiculous amount of science. That's the goal. So we're loading this on in. Anytime now, Kerbal. You can do it. Okay, there we go. We got 6,582 science. And we have almost 9,000 science right now. That is absurd. Okay. Well, I knew we were going to get a lot from our science investments, and here's the thing. We should actually hop over to our moon base, because we'll have even more there that's ready to be sent back. We should be able to get our mobile processing lab processing some new science. So, let's get that transmitted, assuming we've got a connection right now. You can do it, KSP. You can do it. Okay. So, let's check in here. Actually, we are pretty much full on our science, so we can go ahead and transmit that data. And consider all of this data uploading. Beautiful. So now, all of this science is... Actually, that's not the data we needed to transmit necessarily. But let's go ahead and transmit our science here. It's going to be a little bit longer. I'm going to time warp, not physics warp, because I don't want any Krakeny here. Any Krakeny goodness. Ah, right. We don't actually have the power to transmit that much. That would make sense. I assumed we would have enough power, actually, because of our batteries here, but apparently not. Okay, noted. So we're going to need a power module before we can really do that. That's fine. It is about time to put a cut in here, so I'm going to go ahead and do that. And next episode, we are going to get our power module sent up so that we can get that particular problem fixed. And then we're probably, before we do that, actually going to max out the tech tree or very close to it. I don't know that we'll quite have enough to max it out, but we'll be able to get a lot. So that's absolutely great. You can leave your offerings to the engagement gods in the form of likes. Oh, this bug. Okay, fun. In the form of likes, comments, subscribes, and bell ringings. And a very special thank you to all of the channel members for making this video possible, including Casserole, ALS Gamer, Kentuin, James, Shadowwolf, MLohan80, Spartan News, Nick Smarty, Video Games Are Not Real, Dimitri H, Punching the Microphone, Unisil, Cadra, Rogue Corvid, and all the rest. And of course, you. Thank you for watching. If you'd like to support the channel, you can click the join button down below the video. And as always, I will see you all next time.